Fake olive oil has become an epidemic. According to an article in Forbes magazine, 80% of Italian olive oil on the market may be fraudulent. Maybe this percentage is too high, but it is true that problems with fake or mislabeled olive oil have been on the rise, with scams busted across Europe, from Italy to Spain to Portugal. And the vast majority of the frauds uncovered in the food and beverage sector now involve olive oil. So what's going on, and how did it come to this? Soaring temperatures in the Mediterranean region have destroyed some of the olive crops. So the stock of olive oil has dropped and the prices have skyrocketed, which of course makes it profitable to sell fakes because you make them cheap and then you sell them for the premium price of olive oil. Now, even leaving aside health effects, if you want olive oil and you're paying for it, you should get olive oil. So here are 7 tips to dodge the fakes and take home a really quality olive oil. Number 1, single origin. Quality olive oil is usually harvested, pressed, and bottled all in the same area. Ideally, olives are pressed shortly after the harvest to preserve the freshness. So if they're being shipped from different countries all the way to Italy before they're bottled, the oil will usually be less fresh. Now, don't be fooled by fancy label design. You're looking for very specific information. If the oil was bottled or blended in a place other than where the olives were grown, that's information that legally has to be on the label, often in tiny print, of course, and that's usually a sign of a lesser quality product. Especially common is the label bottled in Italy, which makes it sound like the oil is from Italy, but not necessarily. Here's a real world example. This looks totally fine at first. It says extra virgin olive oil, but blend starts to give it away. And then you look in the back label and it contains oil from Italy, Greece, Spain, Tunisia, Egypt, Turkey, Syria, Morocco, and Portugal. It's like the United Nations. And it's packed in Italy. So these oils were shipped from all over the map, mixed together, and bottled in Italy. Not ideal. Another one says packed in Italy, but the oil is from like 3 or 4 different countries. The fact that these oils are packed in Italy or bottled in Italy is total marketing. I mean, the air in Italy doesn't magically make the oil better. I can assemble a Yugo in Rome. It doesn't make it a Ferrari. If it says 100% Italian, that's a bit more informative. Not necessarily high quality oil, but at least it won't be shipped from 4 different countries before it's blended and bottled. So you want to shoot for an oil that specifies one country, but also an oil that specifies a region. Just like with wine, the flavor and the quality of an olive oil is tied to the place where the olives were grown. The earth, the weather, the type of olive. So quality olive oils will often proudly display the region where they were grown and bottled. So it might say Puglia or Tuscany or Andalusia or Alentejo rather than just Spanish oil or Italian oil. In general, less generic is a good sign. Some bottles will even have a QR code that you can scan to trace the whole production chain. The more information, the less likely it's a fake. Number 2, harvest date. Not every bottle of olive oil will have this, but if it does, it's a good sign. It suggests a higher quality oil. You want to be consuming oil within 2 years of its harvest date, ideally 1.5 years. Now, every bottle is going to have a best buy date, but that's not the same thing. It doesn't tell me when the olives were actually harvested. This also means that if you consume olive oil in your household very slowly, if your bottle lasts you a while, it might not be a good idea to buy a large amount because then you end up consuming it past that ideal period of 1.5, 2 years. So buying the right amount for you, considering the timing of your consumption, is a good idea. Number 3, the container matters. Ideally, you want to shoot for a dark container. Opaque materials help block out sunlight and preserve the freshness. And glass or metal containers might be a little better than plastic. Number 4, don't fall for empty words on the label. Pure olive oil, light olive oil, smooth, gentle, authentic. This doesn't mean anything. It's just marketing. In fact, pure olive oil and light olive oil usually refers to refined varieties. Here's another example. Don't confuse extra light with extra virgin. This one is actually a blend. containing refined oils coming from 3 different countries: Spain, Tunisia, and Portugal. Now, if you're going to use the oil to fry something, for example, maybe this is fine. But just don't confuse this with a quality extra virgin olive oil and don't get charged the premium price for this product. Also, organic olive oil doesn't necessarily mean high quality oil. It just means the olives were organic. Another one, cold pressed olive oil, doesn't really add much information because all extra virgin olive oil is extracted without heat. In general, the more information, the better. So chemical specs like polyphenol count and free fatty acid levels are good to double check. The acidity should be low. For an extra virgin olive oil, it should be under 0.8%. Many bottles won't have this information on the label, but if they do, it's another good sign. And some brands will have this information on their website. Now, most people know that we should be shooting for virgin or extra virgin olive oil, and that's because of the polyphenols. They confer some health benefits, and the refinement process reduces those compounds. Virgin olive oil is still unrefined, just like extra virgin. It's just a little more acid than extra virgin. So depending on the dish that you're going to use it in, it might be fine. Virgin might be totally fine. It's just that extra virgin tastes a little better. Now, is it enough that the bottle says extra virgin olive oil? Nope. According to a test run by the UC Davis Olive Center, yep, that's a thing. They have a whole center dedicated to studying olives and olive oil. They tested almost 200 samples of olive oil labeled extra virgin sold in California. Most of the imported top-selling brands failed to meet the standards for extra virgin status. So this was a pretty startling result, and the fake virginity is just the beginning of the problems. It's been said that when we buy an Italian extra virgin olive oil, there's a good chance it's neither Italian nor extra virgin. And actually, it might not even be olive oil. Some fake olive oils, they take real olive oil and they mix it with other vegetable oils that are cheaper. But in some cases, they'll even mix it with non-food grade stuff like lamp oil and dyes. As reported by the Olive Oil Times, yep, that's a thing. There was a massive seizure of fake olive oil in Italy this year. They found all this fake olive oil already bottled and labeled as Italian extra virgin olive oil. Sneaky devils. Italian law enforcement called this sting Operation Yellow Gold. Wait, isn't all gold normally yellow? This thing with the fake olive oil is such a huge operation that even the Mafia is in on it. They take olive oil from Syria, Turkey, Northern Africa, and then they sell it as Italian olive oil to the United States and Japan. They even have a whole sector of the Mafia dedicated to these scams with agricultural products called the Agro Mafia. I don't know about you, but these don't sound like the scariest mobsters. You got your drug lords, your hitman, and then the guys who make fake olive oil. Probably not a lot of street cred, but actually the joke's on me because they're making bank. This is a multi-billion-dollar business. According to the Financial Times, get this, profits from olive oil can be higher than cocaine and with far less risk. Yeah, no kidding. Can't wait for the next Narcos spinoff where they're smuggling olive oil across the border and like dressing salads in dark rooms. Actually, I would totally watch that. All right. Tip number 5 is third-party certification. In Europe, for example, there's the Protected Designation of Origin, or PDO, and they have this red and yellow seal on the bottles they certify. Bear in mind, if the label is in Spanish or Italian, this acronym will be inverted. So instead of PDO, it'll be DOP. There's also the Protected Geographical Indication, or PGI, or IGP if it's in Italian, and they have this blue and yellow seal. In the US, the California Olive Oil Council has this seal, green and yellow. Europe gets all the reputation, but actually California has some pretty good olive oils, as we'll see in a second. Australia has some good ones as well. Italy is not the only place with great olive oil. The North American Olive Oil Association has this red seal. Some of these organizations have released lists of the different brands and the different olive oils that they certify. So I'll include some of those in the description. So this is a really good step to increase your confidence. It's not 100%, I guess, because you could fake the seals. And even within olive oils that have been approved by these organizations that have the seals, the quality can still vary. So for example, there's a ranking by Consumer Reports, and among the oils that they looked at that had these seals of certification, some are ranked much higher than others. Interestingly, all 4 of the California olive oils they tested ranked really well, even the ones that didn't have these little seals of certification. And here's some good news. Quality olive oil doesn't have to break the bank. In the Consumer Reports ranking, one of the top ranked goes for like $11 a bottle. It's a Sicilian extra virgin olive oil sold by Aldi, and it does have that BDO stamp. Consumer Reports also has another separate ranking where they looked at olive oils sold at Trader Joe's. They found 2 that were pretty high quality and were pretty affordable actually. So I'll include a link to that ranking in the description as well. All of that said, the super cheap olive oil, like $3 or $4 a bottle, that's more likely to be low quality or even fake because it's just really, really hard to produce a high quality olive oil at that price. Oh, and by the way, I'm not affiliated with any brand or any store. No sponsors. I'm not with the Mafia either. They didn't make me an offer I can't refuse. Oh, forget about it. Tip number 6, the taste test. You can't really go by the color of olive oil. That's really tricky. In some of the fake olive oils, they'll add pigments like chlorophyll, for example, which is a plant pigment, to give it a little bit of that green tinge. So the color can be faked. The taste, not so easy. Low quality or fake olive oil will just taste greasy and dull. If it's rancid, it'll even taste like crayons, like waxy. Real olive oil has that characteristic taste. Some people call it grassy. Some people call it peppery. The peppery taste or aftertaste on your tongue is because of the polyphenols. And of course, it tastes like olives at the end of the day. Once you've tasted it and you know what it tastes like, it's much harder to fool you. So it's really, really hard to fake that. Okay, tip number 7 is a bonus tip. Once you have that quality olive oil and you take it home, how do you store it to lock in all that goodness? You don't want to keep it on the counter. You want to keep it somewhere dark and cool to protect it from light and heat. You also don't want to leave it next to the dishwasher or close to the oven, close to the stove. I've made that mistake before. And of course, that's because you get indirect heat. And finally, after you use it each time, make sure you cap it tightly to avoid air and oxygen from getting inside. For more on the Mediterranean diet, is it healthy? Is it not? Check out this video right here. And for some surprising information on labels and expiration dates, check out this one. I'll see you over there. Take care.